So today I'm sat opposite what I dare call a Leamington institution, if you don't mind me calling her that. It's Sarah Horne of Sarah Horne Flowers, who over years of business has established a terrific reputation around town and way beyond for her floristry, her floral art, and now a lot more besides. Sarah, welcome to Life in Leam.
Thank you, Tim.
So, firstly, tell us a little bit about your business here. How long has it been running? How did you get started?
So, 45 years ago, would you believe? Please tell me I don't look old enough.
You don't. You don't.
My mum set up House of Silk in Leamington, and that was silk flowers. Because we'd been to a party, a little bit like a Tupperware party, where the lady was showing us how to make roses out of ribbon and turn them into arrangements. We bought some ribbon, we had a go, we loved it, and I would spend many a happy Saturday with Liz, this lady, teaching me how to arrange flowers. And I used to, am I allowed to say now? Probably I am, because it's a gazillion years ago. I used to make the roses in my desk and sell them to the kids. And I bought a horse doing that.
So entrepreneurial from the get-go.
Yes.
So you, originally it was silk flowers.
Yes.
With your own, wasn't fresh flowers. Gracious. And was that business up in Leamington?
It was. And then we started to take on fresh flowers. And one of our silk flower wholesalers had just sold a chain of florists in Birmingham, and they kindly took me under their wing, trained me with fresh flowers, and trained me to do all the wired wedding work, how it should be done, I say, the traditional way. And we then wanted to take on fresh flowers, and the wholesaler that we used at the time was shortly after that selling a fresh flower shop on Regent Street, which was then called Rosalind Palmer, and we took that on.
Oh wow!
And moved into town.
And when would that have been?
Ooh, that was probably only a couple of years after we first started.
Right, so very young. So you were still very young at that point.
I was 15 when Mum started the business, so I would work in it after school, and then I didn't stay on to do A levels or anything. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and at 16 I left and came into the business.
Wow! So really, it was a mum and daughter team from the get-go. At what point did your mum step aside then, and it become Sarah Horne as a business?
So Mum and Dad went to live in Minorca. Unfortunately, my mum had breast cancer, and one of her dreams had always been to live in Minorca. So my dad gave up his job, and they went to live in Minorca. So I took on the business, and then sadly my mum passed away in 1990. Which was shortly after I moved the business to Warwick Street, because it was always Mum's dream to have a shop on Warwick Street.
Oh, wow.
And so at that point, shortly afterwards, I had a customer who was a branding expert, and he said to me, "I love what you do, it's so contemporary, but actually the name doesn't fit. There's things I'd love to help you with the shop." We'd got an old aluminium shop front, etc. And he said, "I will work with you for free because I think you're amazing," which was just this amazing thing that Richard did. But I need you to change the name. That's my payment, is that you change the name to Sarah Horne Flowers. And I was a bit reticent because my mum had named the shop. And then I bumped into one of her best friends who said to me, for goodness sake, she'd have changed the name 14 times by now if she was still here, which my mum would. She was very dynamic. She was always moving forward with things. So that's what we did.
And what is it about working with flowers that you love? You clearly do love it. You're very passionate about it. What's the buzz for you out of this work?
It's nature, isn't it? I absolutely love anything to do with the world, with growing, with animals, with flowers. So it just captures my imagination all of the time. I think the fact that you're working with something that it's very instant as well. You know, we order today, we get it tomorrow, we send it out tomorrow. We're working on these things so instantly. I actually love that slight discomfort of not knowing what's coming next. we can look at the order clip this morning and think we know what's happening, and then one phone call will completely turn it on its head. You know, people walking in the shop, can I have it now, can I have it now, can I have it now? And we're like chefs in a kitchen then, you know, and we just never quite know what's happening. And I realised that actually I in a really weird way like that.
Yes, I've never thought of being in the floral business as being like an adrenaline thing, but clearly it is. You know, clearly there's an excitement and a buzz to do that. And I guess the other thing is that, you know, what you do has a massive effect on the spaces it's then used in, and the people that receive it. So it's very much an important life moments thing, flowers.
It is. We meet people and spend time with our customers at the pivotal times in their life, really. You know, sometimes the happiest time when they've just had a baby, when they've just got they're getting married, and the saddest time when they have a funeral and they've lost somebody. And it's a real privilege to work with people at those times, you know. And you know, the guy that runs in and goes, "You've got to help me, I've upset her and I need some flowers." What can we do for him that isn't going to hurt if she hits him with it?
So yeah, I mean, you are very much at those important life moments. You're playing a part of those, and you're in a way articulating those for people as well. Also, what you're working with is very ephemeral. It's very temporary. You know, how does that feel, doing something that you know in a few days or a few weeks' time it's just going to be a memory?
I love that, because what I realise when I have flowers myself, or if I'm ever sent flowers, which I'm lucky to be sometimes, is that when you know you've only got it for a week, you look at it in much more detail, you enjoy it more, you just, it's more, gets more attention from you than something like a bottle of perfume that you know that you can go back to in a month's time and start using when your other perfumes run out. Flowers have to, they have to have your attention now, and I think that's a real privilege to be working on something that has that and that changes. So when we're designing it like a garden designer, we're putting things in that are in bud that we know are going to open. So then we have to create the design thinking, what's it going to look like when it's 4 days old?
And I've never thought of that before. What you create there every day is going to be slightly different.
And the memory of those flowers, but the fact that you don't still have those flowers, can burn on for years. If we do a good job and somebody gets sent their first ever dozen red roses, and it's a Sarah Horne bunch of red roses, and we've created it with lovely grasses in and all sorts of, you know, beautiful accompaniments, that is in somebody's memory until they die. It's not about having it and keeping it, it's actually about the emotion that was sent with it and what it looked like and how special it was. We have a customer who came in one day and said to me, "Do you know what? I come in here and I'm always sending flowers to people. It's my thing. The reason I do it is because I want to be Sarah Horned. I Sarah Horne everybody else, and I'm never Sarah Horned myself." And we had a phone call sometime afterwards from this customer. He said, "Guess what? I've been Sarah Horned." And I love that. I love that people think of us in that way, and we work very hard for that to happen, because, you know, lots of places sell flowers, but would you feel like that about a bunch of flowers that have come from the supermarket? Would you feel the same as you would about a bouquet that we have made? Everyone is different. We're ordering flowers in specially for you if you give us enough time. And we can you know, pull flowers from all over the world, or we can grow them ourselves for you. And I think that is a privilege, really.
So that leads very nicely on to one of the questions I've got, really, is in terms of, you know, floral art versus, you know, a bunch of flowers you'd buy at the petrol station. Helps us to understand what the difference is in terms of the result and I guess the process behind it.
Yeah, so my easiest way of explaining it is with food, actually. So you have a greengrocer's, you have a cheap takeaway place, or you have a Michelin star restaurant, and you've got many things in between. We've never aspired to be the greengrocers, we've never aspired to be the cheap takeaway restaurant. We aspire to be the Michelin star restaurant, and it does sometimes feel there's people that get that and there's people that don't get that, but that's my best explanation of it, really. You know, you can buy a, you know, you can buy a cabbage at the greengrocer and it'll cost you this much. You can have, you know, coleslaw on your burger and it'll be this much. And you can have it very beautifully, you know, put together by a Michelin star chef, and it's absolutely out of this world. And the prices will be different on those things. The time spent on it will be different. Everything about it is different. You know, you can buy a cheap handbag or you can buy a you know, Hermes handbag. There's variations in every industry, and it's always the money isn't what's interested me. Very often it's the people who do the stack it high and sell it cheap that make more money. But it's always been about creating a great job and pushing the boundaries on what we can do with the flowers that we have as well, which is why I've always competed.
Do you have a particular job that you've done recently that you can look at and go, that really was a challenge, but I'm just really happy with how that worked out?
Yes, I know straight away. I didn't know you were going to ask me that, but it's popped in straight away, because it was a corporate event which we were asked if I would mind doing a speech at it, which was quite left of field. I have done TED Talks and I've done demonstrations and everything, so not completely out of the ballpark, but I was a little bit surprised. So we'd like you to give a speech, we'd like you to do the flowers for the event, and we would like you to do a workshop at the event for all of the delegates. And it was a summer conference for a fantastic company called Scube, who are in Warwick. The speech was sort of, Sarah Horne, leadership area. Would you mind telling me what that's all about? They went, yeah, your speech is about leadership. Okay. You do know I'm only one florist on one small high street in one town, don't you? I don't run a corporation. I haven't got international. We know exactly who you are, and we absolutely want you to deliver this speech on leadership. And they are a digital company. So I did an analogue PowerPoint in flowers, and we had, in fact, these were what we used, and every one of these areas was done in flowers. I even did the Kubler-Ross change curve in moss, and it was just great. And I just talked about a lot of my own ways, my own experiences with it. So yeah, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. So I can now add keynote speaker to my resume.
Yes, your CV. And I guess you need to sort of lie down for a day or two after that. That must be absolutely exhausting.
And I think the exciting thing about that event was I didn't find out until I was stood on stage about to go on and present, when I met Shashi, the CEO, and he said, I don't know if you remember, and I looked into his eyes and I went, I totally remember. He said, I came into your shop and we had a long conversation when your academy had just finished being built, and I was asking you how you got started and what your progression was, and he said, do you remember at the end of it I said to you, I would love you to talk to my team sometime. And I didn't know where he was from, and I didn't know what he'd got in mind. I certainly didn't think it was a 45-minute keynote speech at his conference. You'd never know who you're talking to.
From small seeds, amazing things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, I'm also just interested. You talked about leadership there, just in terms of your overall philosophy, I guess, around business, and I was listening to what you're saying about the ephemeral nature of plants and arrangements, and how you have to suck the joy out of them all the time you can. I get the sense that's a little bit of a philosophy of life for you as well. Tell us, how do you go about being Sarah Horne as a business person and a business operator, and Sarah Horne as a person? What's your approach to all of that?
I find it easy because I do what I love. And I don't have home life, work life. I just have life. I think having lost my mum when I was only 23 made me realise how precious every minute is, to pack in what you can when you can. And then, unfortunately, I went through breast cancer myself through COVID. So I had 15 months off work, But I taught myself to paint. You know, I actually teach painting classes now, which I failed my art O level.
And so let's talk about a little bit of that, because it's not just about flowers, is it? And floral art. You've diversified into a number of things: art, homewares. You do classes here. Give us a little heads up on all of those wonderful.
If
other
it's
things
botanical, it's within scope. That's how I've always looked at it. And I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a self-learner, so I don't tend to do a long college course to learn something. I tend to do I call it aggressive learning, because I'm like, I've got my phone and I've got my iPad, and how do you do this? How does that work? Thankfully, that is how my brain works.
So if someone comes on one of your classes now, how aggressive is that as learning?
No,
how does that work?
No, I'm only like that with myself. No, it's a very relaxed. We always do recreational classes. We do one which is a slight introduction. We call it Introduction to Floristry, and that's 6 evenings where people can come along and just find out really about the more commercial designs that florists do, and they can find out a little bit about the industry and whether it's for them. And we would then encourage them to go to Morton Morrell and to go on the professional floristry courses there. So we work quite closely with Morton Morrell. But it's I love the recreational courses. I love people coming here and having fun. A short course or a one afternoon or one day, and it's just great fun.
So people can come along and they can explore the joy of floristry without it getting too heavy. And then if they're inspired to go further, then Morton Morrell's just down the road to do that. Some
classes that bring in more technical than others, because despite what a lot of people think, it's not just shoving flowers in a vase. The elements and principles of design, darling, are very important. And I'm very proud to say that whilst I didn't go to college to learn this, I've learnt it from some amazing people. So I would take myself off to Germany and go and do a 4-day course with Gregor Lersch, who is arguably the godfather of all florists. So there's always a way.
Yes.
There's always a way. You know, we competed in Retail Florist of the Year 3 times. We got as far as runner-up. We got into the finals every time.
So let's just talk a little bit about that quickly, because you've, as you say, you've not gone through the formal qualification process, and but you've won plenty of awards and you've been recognised for those. Just give us perhaps 1 or 2 of what the most important recognitions have been to you that you've been most pleased by.
It's really tough. I mean, obviously the Chelsea gold medals. The whole joy of being asked to exhibit at Chelsea is that you are found, not that you go me. I was definitely on their radar because they'd invited me to demonstrate, and I just felt like, no, if I'm good enough, they'll know and they'll invite me, and they did, and that was wonderful. And I've been back many times. I've got 3 golds altogether. I'm very proud of those. I competed in the British Florist Association Heats for UK Florist of the Year. It was in September last year. Just to see if I could. Can I do this still? Am I still relevant within that arena? So I went to have a go in the heats, thinking if I can just get a place, I'll go, yeah, you've still got your competition head on, it's still in there. And I won my heat, and I got to the finals of UK Florist of the Year, and I came 4th. That felt really good. And I'm so proud of the guy who won it, Joe Massey, he's there at the moment competing for the World Cup.
You mentioned you wanted to make sure you were still relevant. It just made me think, actually, is floral arrangement, floral design, is it like other sort of couture where there's fashions and things change, or are there classics in there as well?
Yes, there are. You also have to find your own vibe within it, and I think what I've realised is it's not about following it, it's just about challenging yourself all the time to come up with new ideas. And I think that's it. And I think the painting and the drawing and a little bit of wax sculpting I've done and things like that have given me skills from other places to put into competitive floristry. I love where we are. This building is very important to me. The history of it, everything else is very important to me. So I do everything that I can to sort of... it's not even about leading the way for other people. It's just doing it my way. And if it works for me, you know, the way I learned. I wouldn't say to everybody, don't go and have a formal qualification, because most people actually, that isn't how they learn well. But if your brain is like a squirrel on acid, then maybe you could do it the way I do it, you know?
So what's next for Sarah, this squirrel on acid? What's on your radar?
Oh, well, all I can tell you is we've got some very exciting changes afoot, but unfortunately we're at that point where I can't tell you what they are because they're not quite secured yet. But yes, it's watch this space is what I would say. Yes, yeah.
In the meantime, Sarah, you're clearly frantically busy with a load of things on. Thank you so much for making the time to talk with me today. If someone's listening that wants to come and have a go at one of your workshops, they're all on the website, aren't they, as well?
Yes, we're just about to launch Christmas.
Right, yes, goodness, here we are sat in the sunshine. So all that coming out, and I guess if anyone knows someone that deserves to be Sarah Horned, then this is the place to come, and you'll do the very best you can for them. Sarah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Tim.